Hey everyone, Digital David here. Today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Narwal. This is the Freo X Ultra. I was really excited when Narwal reached out for me to test out this particular unit. I've tried out over 50 robot vacuums and counting. That number continues to go up weekly. This will be my first experience with the Narwal brand, and I'm really excited about this particular unit. If you're interested in this product or if you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. So far, so good. Looking at the retail box and packaging with some key tech specs down on the front. We can learn more about it on the side with a nice breakout diagram of the vacuum. Next, you'll see the back side, 6 boxes with some key features for this particular unit. 8200 PA suction. We got our spinning and scrubbing mop pads. This is cool. I saw this at CES. 7-week self-empty solution provided internally in the vacuum. And I can't wait to try this out in real life. This is their zero tangling floating brush. Basically, it's designed in a way that the hair spins down on the brush and out, so it won't be left entangled in the vacuum. So we get the best of both worlds with those bristles to actually pick up the hair, and with this design, so it's not going to be tangled. We have auto mop washing and drying, and we have obstacle avoidance. Other side of the box is going to show you what's included in the box, and then we're back to the front. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature with safety instructions, user guide and manual, as well as base station controls. They walk you through all the controls and buttons right here. And we have first time use setup instructions on the back side, complete with a QR code so you can access and download the Narwal app from iOS and Android app stores. Next, you'll see we have a spare dustbin here. So if you run out or don't want to use the disposable vacuum bags here in the included dustbin, we also have the option to go the old school route where you can just manually empty it yourself. So they give us the best of both worlds. We have the self-emptying in the disposable bags, or just your more traditional dustbin there. We have 2 extra disposable bags right here. I love that we have the filter included. So now when you're conducting your typical routine maintenance, you're replacing the filter and the vacuum bag at the same time. So 2 of those included, as well as the one already installed, bringing our total to 3. Next, you'll see we have our side cleaning brushes right here, left and right, labeled accordingly for you and color coded. One included power cord and cable. It's white. It matches the station right here, as well as the vacuum itself. Let's go ahead. Let's look at these in more detail. Looking at our vacuum and mop from the top down, you'll see a sticker up at the top with our home and power button, as well as the controls and settings there. LiDAR navigation module, Narwal logo and branding. This is a plastic cover that is magnetic and easily pops up and out of the way to reveal a reset button, QR code, additional Narwal branding, and our dustbin compartment where we have our disposable dust bag installed. Once you remove it, you do have instructions showing you how to replace it, but it's as simple as pulling it up and out of the way and then sliding your new one right back in, and then you can just gently put the cover back on. Looking at it from the front, you'll see our navigational bumper here. We have our laser vision sensor front and center. We'll move around to the side. You can get a feel for the play of the bumper. We'll look at it from the back side here. So we have our charging contacts, a sticker to remove the lid here. You'll see it from the other side. We have another sensor in the bumper. Now we'll flip it over. You'll see we have multiple cliff sensors so it won't drive off ledges, things like that. We have our spring-loaded drive wheels. We have where we need to install our side cleaning brushes. They're color-coded and labeled. So the left one's going to pop in right here just like that. The right one's going to pop in over on this side. They'll only fit one way, it looks like, with the design, so it should snap on just like that. Additional product info. You can see our spinning and scrubbing mop pads here with that unique triangular design to make sure it's providing ample overlap as it's mopping and scrubbing. Omnidirectional wheel and the brush roller that I'm super excited about. Again, I already saw this at CES, but it's great to get fully immersed and hands-on with this. But you get a feel for that design. So on this side, all the hair is designed to work its way down the brush and get sucked up right there. No more tangles. So look at that. So cool, guys. That's revolutionary. That's innovation. That's what you want to see, because typically if you're familiar with vacuums like I am, the rubber brushes are better because they avoid tangles, but the bristle brushes do a really good job actually getting and agitating your carpets, your rugs, getting that dirt and debris up and out of the way, but they tend to attract those hairs. So we have the best of both worlds right here with the unique design to actually help eliminate those tangles. So that's a look at the vacuum and mop. Now let's go ahead, let's look at the base station. At the top of the base station, you'll find your touch control panel built directly into the lid. You can open up the lid to reveal the dirty water tank and the clean water tank. The clean water tank does have a max indicator on both sides, so you know when it's full, and you can easily just open this up to fill it up under a faucet. And then for the dirty water tank, very similar design. You'll actually find inside they did include some specifically formulated floor cleaner here, 31 ounces of a lemon and basil floor cleaner from Narwal. You can see the ingredients on the back side there. Dirty water tank, very similar to the clean water tank. This has a built-in float, so the station knows once the dirty water tank is full. They both have nice grip handles to easily refill and empty as needed. Looking at the front of the unit, you'll notice we have this sort of egg-shaped design. It's very sleek, it's modern. I'd say it's minimal. I like how it looks. Kind of got that futuristic vibe. Narwhal's logo and branding. This not only charges up your vacuum, it also automatically washes and dries the mop pads. And they have it designed, there's some instructions there, but basically we can pull this up and out of the way for easy cleaning. Every once in a while, you'll want to check this out. Make sure there's no debris or dirt built up. You'll want to rinse that out yourself, but you can do all of that right here. They made that really, really easy. So love seeing that, and you kind of get a close-up of how it's able to clean itself with those trays. And there's a quick peek inside with everything removed. Here's your left side profile with a nice built-in handle grip. Here's the right side profile with built-in handle grip. Here's a look at the back side revealing our power plug, so we'll be able to plug it right in there. Additional product info on the back. And here's a look at the bottom, 5 grip feet here, honeycomb design, as well as just your typical solid plastic base. Now it's time to charge it up, fill it up, and try it out. We just finished our first clean. Let's look at the results. First up, our disposable dust bag. It is filling up. I can see the clump of hair, dirt, and debris that it's already collected there. Filter looks as good as new still. And then we'll just kind of bring all that down to this side so we can look at it in a little bit more detail. Take a look at all the pet hair and human hair it collected. If I can flip it over to the other side, I'll just try to pull this up. There's some really fine salt-sized particles. That's how I'm going to describe that for you all. I see some glitter from my kids' crafts. We have a lot of dirt, dust, grainy material that I was able to vacuum up and pick up from around the house. So your typical household contents, and after one full clean in our first floor, you can get a feel for how much of the bag it used up. It didn't use up that much, and those particles and hair can really be compacted in there. What's important to observe is this is as good as new. So look at that. Nothing is leaking out of here. It's being sucked up, filtered out, and put right in there for us, which is awesome. So when it's time to dispose, just grab this, put it in your trash can, and install a new one back in. So far, so good. I like what I'm seeing here. Now let's go ahead and flip this over. Looking at it from the underside reveals the feature I was most excited about to see. Take a look at this. Again, I have 3 long-haired individuals in my house, as well as a dog with long fur. We have no hair built up or tangled anywhere on our main brush roller. I thought maybe we'd get some right here. I'm not seeing anything at all. So the hair gets wrapped around, and then with this design, it works its way down and out. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I can already tell just after one pass in my house, compared to all the other 50 plus RoboVacs we've ever reviewed, this is gonna be the best main brush roller with bristles. So some Roborock models have like the dual rubber brushes. iRobot has dual rubber brushes. If you just have the rubber brushes, those typically don't get a lot of tangles at all. But anytime you start to add these bristles, that's when you attract all of the hair and tangles. So it's great to see we have this rubber and bristle brush that now doesn't get tangles as well. So fantastic design there. Love to see it. Your other pain point is going to be your side cleaning brushes. And you'll notice on this unit, we don't have any hair tangle here. You might find an occasional long human hair every once in a while. But I think since they don't have the triple design, the hair just doesn't get as tangled when you just have the 2 bristles on it. Lastly, looking at the mop pads, they are still a little damp to the touch. We can tweak those settings for cleaning and drying within the Narwal app. But after first use, we already are noticing some discoloration. Some of that's just unfortunate due to the color choice of white. It's always going to look never as good as when you first get it, as if it was maybe like gray, something like that that could hide a little bit of the stains. But it actually works out better for us to see the cleaning potential. So it will clean and dry, but you should still expect some staining and slight discoloration, depending, I guess, how dirty your floors are. But we had a lot of mud and dirt from my dog's paw prints. Did pick it up. It obviously started to discolor these as well. And so far, I'd say so good. About what you expect in the cleaning and drying phase across all the different brands. Again, since this is white and most have a gray, it's easier to see the spots that are gonna stay stained versus some of the competitors. And then moving right along, I popped out the tray so we could see everything in more detail from the base station itself and how it looks after the first full clean. We have some pet hair built up right here, a little bit of moisture droplets, but this looks great. Not really noticing like any dirt at all or any like large debris. Again, just some of those hairs, couple of water droplets. You'll notice the bottom plate is going to have more debris right here, but that helps you get a feel for what the mop is actually able to pick up and process off your floor. So every once in a while, you will want to pop this out and just rinse it down and keep it nice and clean to prevent all of that from building up. But so far, so good, and it's great to see that this is so easy to remove, so we can effectively wash it as it calls for it, depending on how dirty this looks. But after one pass, you could see it wouldn't even be a bad thing for us to wash it right now. Now let's look at the Narwal app. Here's a live look in real time where we can enter into our device already set up. You can get a feel for our map, which we can edit. There's a lot of map editing settings, from splitting and merging rooms to renaming them, to adding our very own furniture to each room. You can really build out your map. We can adjust and change floor material. I do want to show you the carpet settings, really neat, where we can choose a piece of carpet around our house and choose what the vacuum does when it encounters that particular piece. Power up, avoid, cross, or ignore. We also have our overall default settings here for new carpet. Love those features. Going back into, you'll also see we have our no-go zones. So we can set up no vacuum and mop zones, or just no vacuum zones, or just no mop zones. Also want to point out that you are able to save multiple maps. Up to 4 maps can be saved at any time. Next, you'll see our cleaning settings. We have vacuum and mop, vacuum then mop, vacuum, mop, and customize. The customize section is really cool because we can build out a room by room clean. So what do you want for room 1? What mode? How many times do you want to vacuum and mop that particular room? Suction power settings, mop, wetness settings, and coverage, precision, standard, or do you want that meticulous clean? You can pick and choose that right there. Also, for each other option, we have the ability here to toggle on and off our Freo mode. So you'll see when Freo mode's enabled, basically it takes over and gives you peace of mind to customize it as it sees fit. So look at the different bullet points here and what it's able to do. It's smart enough to figure out with its dirt sensing capabilities what exactly each room needs. It will adjust accordingly, depending on multiple variables like even your air humidity, floor type, and offer you nice custom cleaning options. So great to have that on, or again, you can customize yourself, but you have multiple options here. You'll see if we have it turned off, we get all of our settings back again for that particular area, or you can turn it on, have peace of mind, and let it adjust itself automatically. You'll also notice at the bottom we have our cleaning history here, so we get a nice breakdown by week, month, and year of our cleaning totals and how everything performs. Let's go to our first clean here. Clean for an hour and almost 10 minutes. There's the map of everywhere where it cleaned, and we can view additional details here throughout the cleaning process. And then for a couple more settings within the vacuum, you can select the settings icon in the top right-hand corner. You'll want to make sure that you go to your clean settings and choose your return and mop wash strategy. How often do you want it to happen? And you can also have it wash mop by room. And we have our edge mode, so you can turn this on or leave it to smart. Basically, it'll wiggle to thoroughly clean along the edges, but it will take a little bit longer. So that's a nice feature. Definitely recommend turning that on. And then I also want to show you the general settings were great. There's actually a stairless mode, so that'll help you if you have more aggressive obstacles or thresholds or things like that that you want to have it try to go over, but make sure you don't actually have stairs. You don't want it to fall down the stairs with that turned off. But the interesting feature that I haven't seen before is the high altitude mode. This is great. So if you're in an environment with a high altitude, you can actually enable this to get better cleaning performance. So I love seeing those features, innovations, always unique depending on the brand, but that's really a thoughtful one for Narwal users. And then lastly, we can configure our base station settings here too. You can adjust the drying intensity. You can adjust the base station default cleaning mode if you want to use the touch controls. What do you want it to do when you initiate that command? You can pick and choose those settings right there. And then we have our automatically add detergent toggle up at the top, which is great. So it can do all that for you without you having to worry about anything. So as you can see, it's a simple and easy to use app to navigate and find all the settings that you could possibly want to customize. So maybe you're wondering, hey, how does this Narwal stack up against the competition? Well, we'll be comparing it to the averages of over 50 robot vacuum and or vacuum mop combos that we've personally tested and reviewed. So we'll be looking at some key metrics and performance indicators to get a better feel for the value of this particular unit compared to your average RoboVac. Again, our sample size includes your most budget-friendly options to the top-of-the-line flagship premium options and everywhere in between. So this helps us get a good feel for what your typical robot vacuum is and how this stacks up and compares to it. So first up, the metric that you're seeing is our max suction power. This is measured in PAs. The higher, the better. Usually that's a good indicator for how good of a job it's going to do actually cleaning and lifting up debris and such off of carpets, hard floors, anything along those lines. So first up, 8,200 PAs for our Narwal. That's one of the highest we've ever seen. It's always impressive when you break that 8,000 PA mark. You'll see that's about double the average RoboVac in regards to suction power. Another indicator for cleaning potential is max CFM. With this score, we measure it in-house, and the higher the better. So in this case, we got a score of 8.7 compared to the average of 6.9. So how does the max suction power and CFM translate into the real world? Well, with our deep cleaning test where we embed coffee grounds into carpet and record the results before and after, you'll see we got a perfect score with our Narwal, about 15 points above average. So very capable to actually provide you with a nice, deep, and thorough clean. Moving right along to decibels, this value tells us how loud the vacuum is. So the higher the value, the louder your vacuum. This test is always recorded on max suction power on carpet. So we got a score of 73 decibels. That's 3 decibels above the average, but realistically, you would not be able to tell that difference or discrepancy in real life if you had a 70 decibel vacuum going right alongside this 73 decibel Narwal. Now we're looking at battery life. This is measured in minutes. This has a 210-minute battery life. That's a solid 60 minutes or 1 hour greater than your typical average RoboVac. That impressive runtime is made possible due to the large battery capacity. This is measured in milliamp hours. This has a 5,200 milliamp hour battery capacity. That's a little bit less than double your average RoboVac. On these high-end premium models, 5,200 milliamps is going to be your standard battery size. More than enough juice to handle the extreme suction power as well as the mopping capabilities. Next, we have the height of the vacuum measured in inches. This comes in at 4 inches tall. That does include the LiDAR navigation module. The average you'll see is 0.4 inches less at 3.6. That's because that average also includes a lot of vacuums that don't have advanced navigation features, so they are going to be a little bit shorter. This is going to be right at that average size that you've come to expect if you've used any other LiDAR equipped vacuum. So expect similar results around your house with the clearance and what it's able to go under and navigate around. Next, let's talk about bin capacity. This is measured in milliliters. Our Narwal has a 1,000 milliliter dust bin capacity. Technically, it's your disposable dust bag capacity. Now, that's the highest score we've ever seen, but typically, with your self-emptying robot vacs, they don't have this unique design where it's built right in. They go back home to their charging base and they self-empty into a larger bin. So what you find with your typical self-emptying RoboVacs is they have a smaller bin closer to the average, actually usually even below average. They're around that 350 milliliter range, but it's a moot point because they're just smart enough to go back home and empty as needed. So you don't need a larger bin. In this case, everything's combined here. So it's really more of a wash because it's built in versus just doing it in a larger bin, not connected to the vacuum. Next, let's talk about water tank capacity measured in milliliters. We do not have a built-in water tank, but if you're wondering what the typical water tank size is that's built into a vacuum, it's around 244 milliliters. Most of the flagship premium models either have no built-in water tank like the Narwal, or they'll have like an 80 milliliter tank. They'll go back home and refill as needed. It's really just the preference, obviously, of the manufacturer as well as the end user and what you prefer. This just goes back home and it can wash more frequently to keep everything clean, whereas when it has the built-in water tank, it will just dispense and disperse water as it's going while still going back home to clean periodically. Now let's talk about mop lift height. This is measured in millimeters. The Narwal has a very solid 12 millimeter mop lift height. The higher the better for this value. That just means less and less contact being made on your carpets or your rugs with the mop pads. You can see that the average is 9.6 millimeters. And it really, really does matter. All those millimeters definitely make a difference. If you're wondering, the highest value we've seen is going to be on the X2 Omni from Ecovacs, and that came in at 15 millimeters. Last but definitely not least, let's talk about cost. How does the Narwal stack up against the competition? Let's try to look through the lens of cost to make sense of all the data that we just looked at. So you notice in our performance, we typically hit or exceeded just about every metric that we looked at. That holds true for cost as well. So So this vacuum is going to come in a little bit less than twice as expensive as your average RoboVac, but there's a lot of features that you're seeing on this that you don't get with that average vacuum, right? So this has mopping. It also has spinning mop pads, the ability to wash, clean, dispense detergent, advanced navigation features as well, both within the app, where it can do a lot of the thinking and processing on its own, as well as in real time navigating around your house, building out those advanced maps. You also have the really unique brush roller on this vacuum that you're not going to find on any of the competition out there. So only you'll be able to decide for yourself if this vacuum's worthwhile, but let me share with you a couple more final thoughts, going over some pros and cons. Biggest pro, hands down, is going to be the brush roller on this vacuum. It's revolutionary. This is going to be the premium flagship feature of this product. So when you think about the Narwal Freo X Ultra, think about the brush roller. If you have a lot of hair, pet hair, human hair around your house, maybe you have another RoboVac that's just not getting the job done and you're sick of cleaning the brush or replacing the brush, look no further. That's going to be why you land on this particular vacuum. That brush roller handling hairs, top notch, the best we've seen. Also, a lot of you out there might really like having that disposable dust bag built in versus having to have this go back home and self-empty and make even more loud noise that's just disrupting around your house. So those are going to be some of the key features and pros. Also, I really like the battery life on this unit. I usually don't talk about battery life because they're smart enough to go back home, recharge, and resume cleaning. That all holds true with this one, but I did notice just even while testing, it just barely move the needle on the battery. So really just stellar performance from the Narwal. Also want to point out too, you'll like the auto detergent. It's great that we have that option built in to get those nice clean mop pads. Speaking of mop pads, that's a great way to transition into some of the cons and improvements that I want to see with our Narwal in the future. So the mop pads do get washed and dried, but they don't use hot water mop pad washing, and that does make a real world difference in removing stains and giving you a better clean with the mop pads. Next, I want to talk about the navigation. That's probably the biggest thing I'd want to see improve with this going forward. I guess the good news is a lot of that could be implemented through software and firmware updates in the future, but right now as it stands, I'm just disappointed in how it lacked in that department. Struggle with cords, didn't matter the size, even pet waste, especially the larger ones. I thought for sure I'd be able to get some of those, but hopefully in the future they can refine that to catch up or maybe even surpass Ecovacs, Dreamy, and Roborock. After further discussions with Narwal, they opted to utilize radar instead of cameras due to privacy concerns. Through extensive testing with various objects, we observed that accuracy tends to improve with larger items. Other than that, I also want to say that I'm pretty spoiled by the recent Dreamy releases for their mops that have a swing out arm. That does a better job getting those harder to reach areas. And they also are smart enough to leave and detach the mop pads in their base and then go out and clean. They still lift as well, but now if that's something that's important to you, to not have your mops go over your carpets or your rugs, that is a really cool way to get around any sort of limitations with mop lifting height. Just leave them on the dock and go out and vacuum and then come back, put them on and mop. So I just really like those features. They've spoiled me. So anytime I now use a vacuum that doesn't have those features, it always makes me want them. In summary, you're buying the Narwal versus the competition because you have a hairy household. That's what I'm calling it. Whether it's pet hair, human hair, a combination of both, you're sick of detangling your vacuum's brush roller. Well, look no further. That's why you've landed on the Narwal. You want that great vacuuming experience as well as the mopping features. You want something that can take care of itself. That's why you're here. Now, on the other side of that, you're passing on the Narwal, you're going with a competitor because you value better navigation or another feature like having access to the camera to use this as a home security device for real-time and live monitoring, or maybe there's another mop feature out there you care more about, hot water mop washing, swing out design, things like that.